Everybody, hello and welcome to the SongBike guitar Q&A YouTube live stream. Everything's made up. The points don't matter, just like trying to tell a stranger about rock and roll. That's right. Welcome, everybody. We are here for your questions. That's right. We are all here for your questions. So right from the very start, I want to invite you to ask a question, ideally a guitar-related question. Put a few question marks in front of your question, and I will do my best to answer it. That's what I'm here for. In between your questions, I have plenty to fill up the next 2 hours, give or take, including such things as, you ready? Some topics I want to share with you. Talking about analyzing your mistakes and placing a value on certain mistakes. You make mistakes, right? That's all right. You make mistakes. I want to talk to you about Dr. Molly Miller and the caged system videos that she has put out. Someone in the chat, I believe last week, mentioned that for those of us who are interested in the caged system, that Dr. Molly Miller has some videos that teach the caged system. And I watched them. So I want to share with you what I picked up from those videos. We had a good question last week talking about songwriters who are known as guitar players, but sometimes you see them playing the piano and performing songs they've written on the piano. And I was thinking about that during the week. And so I had some extra thoughts I want to share with you about songwriters who occasionally write songs on piano. Hey, we're getting closer to the 200,000 subscriber mark. Last I checked, we are at 199,806. So I just want to let you guys know, if you haven't subscribed, we got 16 people watching right now. If you haven't subscribed, tonight is a great night. Of course, you have a play-along song coming up in a little while tonight. Great song by one of my favorite songwriters and guitar players. And the play-along song involves one of my favorite things, which is the one-finger major chord. So we're going to tie those things together. Chord family of the night and our guitar play-along. I have some scale games for you. Games with scales. It's like making vegetables taste good, right? We all got to practice our scales, but scales are fun. They taste good, and I'm going to show you how you can have fun with scales. So I'm going to call this scale games. So we'll get into that tonight. Another comment that I want to pick up on, someone last week referenced the great movie called Back to the Future and the great scene where Marty McFly, Michael J. Fox, picks up a great guitar and bangs out Johnny B. Goode with a band at his high school prom, or technically his parents' high school prom. Remember that scene in that movie? Okay, and so I did a little deep dive into what's going on there. I wanted to share that with you guys. I love it when you guys make comments, whether it's a question that you guys have for me personally, or when I read the chats after the fact, like tomorrow morning, for example, and I pick up on some of the things that you guys are chatting about. So that's fun. I want to welcome our moderator, Beginner Guitar Lessons. His name is in blue. He's got a wrench. He keeps everything flowing smoothly. Joseph Galasso, hello. Deborah, hello. And I know there's a few dozen of you out there who maybe are not in the chat at the moment, but thank you for being here. We do this on Saturdays, 5 o'clock Eastern. We are broadcasting at the moment, and every Saturday, now that I think about it, from the Connecticut River Valley right to wherever you are. And we do this pretty much every Saturday. If we ever have to take a Saturday off, I let you guys know about that on either Instagram or Facebook. So you guys know how to find me. Head over to those social media platforms and just do a search for the phrase SongBike, SONGBIKE, and that's how you can find me. And then you can follow me, and I'll let you know if we ever have to reschedule. We'll figure it out. What else? I have some other things on my agenda tonight. I have a poll question. Of course, I always like to get a poll question. I'll get that going in a minute because I always like to throw a poll question at you guys. Gives us something to follow as the there we go. Something to follow as we spend a little time together. Okay, the poll question of the night. And if you can't answer right this second, don't worry, you got 2 hours to answer this question. It's a simple question, but the answer could be complicated. Okay. The question, and you're welcome to chat about this in the chat, but the question is, what's your next guitar going to be? But wait, you have some choices. Is it going to be an acoustic guitar? Maybe you already have an acoustic. Is it going to be an electric guitar? Wait a minute. Is it going to be a bass guitar? Wait a minute. Is it going to be a banjo? I don't know. How do I know? Anything is possible, right? Okay. Instead of banjo, I'm going to put other, because that could include a ukulele, a mandolin, and so on. I don't know. Why not? There's your poll question. All right, my friends. What's your next guitar going to be? Because you know you're going to get another one. I know you might already have 4. You'll probably get another one. But actually, for those of you who only have one instrument, I'm very curious what your next one's going to be. I will tell you what my experience has been. I've taught for decades now, that typically every one of my students ends up with both an electric and acoustic. No matter what you start with, you end up getting the other one for the fun of it. So that's extremely common. Scott Rhodes, hello. Stephen, hello. Johnny Midnight, hello. Robbie 24ish, hello. TJ 252, hello. 9 Ball Slim, hello. Johnny Midnight says it's hard to decide between a Taylor electric or a Stratocaster. Oh, you know what? One of each. Scott Rhodes, his next guitar will be, holy cow, number 14. Number 14. You know what though? There's worse ways to invest your money, and there's, you know, it's a beautiful thing to look around and have that around your house, you know. Excellent. So when you have a moment, enter the chat and go ahead and place a vote in the poll. What's your next instrument going to be? Acoustic guitar, electric guitar, maybe a bass guitar, maybe other could be what? Other stringed instruments. Ukulele, banjo, mandolin. Don't know. You guys will let me know. Okay. So, of course, what's on our mind here in Connecticut is 2 things. The UConn women heartbreaking basketball game last night. Oh, tough game. It was not a pretty picture. UConn women versus Iowa. Oh, tough game to watch. But c'est la vie. Anyway, so that's on our mind. Stephen Smith, you watched that game. Yes, that was on our mind. As we went to bed last night, tough one. But what's also on our mind, check it out, you guys. This is what's on our mind here in Connecticut, and I'm sure some of you guys too. Now, when I put on this eyewear, I can't see anything at all because we got the eclipse coming. Monday, right? And we're supposed to have some pretty okay weather here where we are. We're going to get about a 90% view of the eclipse. We're not in the path of totality. I love that. I can't wait for someone to put out an album in the next few weeks called Path of Totality. But nevertheless, the eclipse is coming, right? So I got my glasses. Thanks, Tim. One of my students is so into astronomy that he's been waiting for 4 years for this eclipse to happen. He knew it was. They have a way of predicting these things, I'm told. So a year ago, I guess he couldn't wait any longer, and he got a big box of these eclipse glasses and has been sitting on them for a month. He said he paid 75 cents a piece, and I think these are going for a lot more than that, probably about 10 times that number. So yeah, so that's on our mind here in Connecticut. Okay, so let's get into some good stuff. I'm gonna get you guys warmed up here. Let's get warmed up with some scale games, okay? And I'm so happy about this because why? Why would I be happy about this? Because it's good for you. Okay, bear with me, folks. I'm going to pull my vocal mic a little bit closer because it's out there in La La Land. Okay, scale games. What's going on here? I'm going to throw up some tab on my music stand on the big board. Okay, there we go. And I'll tell you what's going on. Okay, I'm going to bring the mic just a little bit closer. So those of you with sensitive ears, hang on. Okay, there we go. How about something like that? How about a little bit like that? What's that? Pretty good? Not bad? Not bad. Okay. So what is my point here with these scale games? I'll play, and then I'll talk about it. We've got a G major scale on the 3 treble strings. Okay, nice happy major scale. I know it's tricky to get my guitar neck in the shot here, let alone both hands. You know why? It's because I'm in this great space, but the great space that I'm in has me pinned up against a wall. And so I can't get back any further. I know. I'll work it out. Okay, G major scale. And back down. And that's what's written out right here in the tab. Don't worry, you don't have to memorize all this stuff. You can come back to this video later. So there's the G major scale, 1 octave, open position, meaning it involves open strings. Now that's the setup. Now, if you love practicing scales and you could do that all day long, awesome. And even if you do love it, I still want to show you a little game we can play, a little fun that we can have, I'm going to play it, and then we'll talk about it. So this is the variation. I still played this scale, but I played it the long way. I took the long way home, and then of course you can do it backwards. Okay, so what's going on? Check it out. I took the 8-note scale, and I want you to think of them as steps going up, and by the time you get to the 8th step, you're on the top of the stairs. I took the 8-note scale, and I broke it up into groups of 3. Imagine going up 3 steps, and then you go back a step, up 3 more, back a step, up 3 more, back a step, okay? And that's why it sounds like da, 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 da. Right? It's a melodic sound. In a way, it's taking a very predictable linear scale that goes up and down and makes it melodic and listenable in a new way, right? It's also a pain in the butt because you can't just phone it in, not at first. You practice a scale enough and you memorize it, and then you can just cruise through it and life is good, and that's terrific. That's an accomplishment. You should be proud of that. But now we're throwing a curve your way, right? A 3-note grouping. Okay, so the first 3-note grouping right here, you see that right there? 0, 2, 0. Then we go back a step, so to speak, not a musical step, but like using the staircase as an image. 2, 0, 1, back a step. 0, 1, 3. Now, I did not write them in 3-note groupings, like cute little triplets. I didn't write it that way. I could have, but you know what? The fact that we're playing an 8-note scale in groups of 3 is disorienting. It's a little, it's meant to shake you up a little bit. Whereas a regular scale sounds like, do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do, and then back down again. This is meant to disorient you. 3 does not go into 8, if you know what I mean, right? And if you think of it as a measure of 4/4 time, there are 8 eighth notes possible in 4/4 time. Well, again, 8 eighth notes in groups of 3, that doesn't work either. So it gives a slightly disorienting but melodic sound. Okay, so here's how you get good at it. You get warmed up on the major scale up at the top of the page. I put a little repeat sign at the end there. See, 2 dots means repeat. That's my way of encouraging you guys to, anytime you ever play a scale, you want to play it a whole bunch of times, whether you're doing it as a warm-up or because you're actually going to use that scale for improvising, whatever. And certainly if you're learning a scale for the first time, you want to do it a whole bunch of times. See those indications up top? That boxy thing, that means to pluck down towards your legs. See that V, that means to go up towards your chin. Guess what? Alternate picking. Anytime you ever practice any scale, do it with alternate picking. Down, up, down, up, down, up. Kind of easy on a regular linear do, re, mi kind of scale. It's going to be a pain in your butt to do that down, up picking here because you're going to go down, up, down on the first group of 3. The second group of 3, up, down, up. The exact opposite, right? You have no choice but to take it slowly. But if you take it slowly and work your way through, from the open G string up to the high G note treble E, first string E, third fret, slowly with down up picking, using the same fingers that you use for the scale, in case you would like a little input on what fingers to use. Anytime you're playing anything that has first fret, second fret, and third fret, and just those 3 frets, then you're going to divide up the work. Index finger playing all the first fret notes, middle finger playing all the second fret notes, ring finger playing all the third fret notes, right? Makes sense? Okay, so it's a scale game. It's a way to have fun. My hope is that this is a sort of like a brain teaser, you know? Any questions? No? Good. All right. So, but you get the idea, right? Getting from one end of the scale to the other, but you're doing it in a new melodic way. Now, check it out. We're just getting started, my friends. Next page. Same deal, same concept, but using a scale I bet a lot of you know very well, the E minor pentatonic scale, 0, 3, 0, 2, 0, 2, 0, 2, 0, 3, 0, 3, right? So same deal. Oh, I forgot to put a repeat sign right there, but same deal. You take your E minor pentatonic scale. Even if you know it really well, that's okay. You do it a few times as a warm-up with down-up picking. In general, I'm going to encourage you to use your first 2 fingers, index and middle. I know very often I'm pushing people to use their ring and pinky, but not in this case. Just use your index and middle finger on all the third fret notes of this particular scale, index finger on all the second fret notes. So just in case a few of you totally have never done this scale before, that's okay. Starting on my fat E string, 0, 3, and then A string, 0, 2, D string, 0, 2, G string, 0, 2, B string, 0, 3, and my high skinny E string, 0, 3, and then back down, 3, 0, 3, 0, 2, 0, 2, 0, 2, 0, 2, 3, 0. Okay, yes, Stephen is pointing out that's the scale from Wish You Were Here. Yeah, and that scale is a great warm-up for learning Wish You Were Here or practicing Wish You Were Here. Is a great scale, and that's Wish You Were Here, just one of a bazillion songs that somehow connects with the E minor pentatonic scale. Okay, so then you get warmed up on the scale. I only wrote it ascending, but you should also play it going backwards as well. Okay, then you do the same process. You play the first 3 notes of the scale. You return to the second note and play the second, third, and fourth, right? The same thing. And the overall sound is... Mostly right. Okay, it's a cool exercise. Plus, it just sounds, I mean, to me, that's starting to sound like something. That sounds like, ooh, there's a song in there, right? There's a riff in there. All right, so scale games, okay? As you guys know, this whole live stream is being recorded. Very soon, I couldn't tell you, I should know, within a few minutes, I feel like, of the conclusion of this live stream, it'll be available as a video. Tomorrow morning, knock on wood, I'm going to timestamp it, so it makes it very easy for you guys to come and find out whatever part of this live stream you want to check out. So my point is, don't worry, you don't have to copy this down super fast. You don't have to memorize this stuff. Same thing with the first page that we did here with the G major scale. Don't worry, it's not going anywhere. Okay, scale games. Always with down-up picking, always, you know. And I know every once in a while I'll be working with a student, they'll say, yeah, I'm not going to do that yet. I'm going to learn the scale first. And I get it. I get that logic. But as soon as possible, yeah, you won't regret it. And almost certainly you'll have to go slower to make sure you're getting the downs and ups right. That's excellent. It's excellent, you know. Okay, there you go. From me to you. Scale games. All right. And check that off the list. See, what I do is either I do stuff with you guys and then I save it and begin using it with my one-on-one students, or vice versa. I do stuff with my one-on-one students and I think to myself, oh, I should introduce this to my live stream friends out here. So it's win, win, win. Okay, so I'm going to take a look in the chat to see what's going on, and say a few hellos. Okay, Scott says, will the scale game be on my website? Yes, the short answer is yes. You guys may be aware I have a website called song-bike.com. I had to put the dash there because I believe the website was spoken for without the dash, so someone has that. But song-bike.com, and it's full of videos, and it's also where you can buy stuff. So speaking of buying stuff, I got a lot of books and ebooks and a lot of learning materials for sale at that website. I encourage you to check it out. I'll keep my sales pitch brief, but my stuff is good. I'm very proud of it. And you can become a member of the website if you choose. And being a member allows you to access all the videos that are on the website. And they're all guitar instructional videos. But Scott, it's not on there yet. So, but someday I'm doing a big overhaul in my mind. First, it's going to be in my mind first, and then in reality soon. I'm a big overhaul of the website. So little by little, I'll be releasing the website videos out into the wild, out into YouTube, and I'll be replacing them with new videos, including stuff like the scale. Here's my idea, you guys. Maybe I'm crazy, but my idea for my website is to morph it into a site that helps you become a really good guitar player. You might say, well, what is it now if it's not that now? It kind of is, but I know everybody wants to learn songs. Well, I have 500 videos on YouTube on how to play 500 songs, give or take. Maybe it's 400, but it's a lot, more than 400, I think. I'm noticing a big bird of prey flying outside my window. Wow, it's impressive. Physical skills. We all want to learn songs, and I get that. But at least part of my revamped website is going to be helping you guys get the physical skills you need to play all the songs you want to play, and so this whole scale game thing is definitely along those lines, A lot of videos out there on how to play certain songs, right? I mean, I think it's fair to say of all the guitar videos on YouTube, the guitar instructional videos, the vast majority of them are how to play specific songs. And that's great. That's great. I want to help you get the skills to play those songs. I've already done a whole bunch of those, guys remember that 365 riffs for beginning guitar? Yeah. So there's at least 365 of those. Thanks for asking, Scott. So Deborah says it'd be cool to try the sitar instrument from different countries to see what they sound like. Yeah. Hey, if you can find a way to do that. Here in Connecticut, Yale University has a musical instrument museum, and I would love to get in there. It's I believe last time I checked, it's not open in the summer, and I have slightly more free time in the summer than the rest of the year, and they're not open in the summer. But somehow I'm going to get in that museum. I don't know what it'll take, but I would love to, all sorts of beautiful old instruments someday. Okay, so I'm reading through your chats and seeing what's going on. Okay. Scott Rhodes has been enjoying his baritone guitar. Yeah, I could have put that one in the chat. Bonjour, Deborah. Okay, so you guys are talking about the different guitars you have. Oh, it's beautiful. It's a beautiful thing. Beginner guitar was asking about triplets because I was doing groups of 3 notes. And I'm going to say they weren't triplets, although they lend themselves to the triplet rhythm. Rhythm is all in your head. And here's what I mean by that. I'm going to go back to that G major scale. If I play that G major scale, and while I'm playing it, I'm thinking 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and 3, and 4, and that's thinking in terms of eighth notes. That's how eighth notes get verbalized. In fact, by definition, what an eighth note is it's each eighth note represents half a beat. 1 and the 1 landed on 1, and the next one landed on the sound exactly in between 1 and 2. And the reason they're called eighth notes, or one way I explain why they're called eighth notes, is because you can fit a maximum of 8 eighth notes in one measure of 4/4 time. And 4/4 time is so extremely common, it's a good reference point. That's one way to explain why they're called eighth notes. If I play that scale, but I verbalize it as triplets, the way I was taught to count triplets was 1 triplet, 2 triplet. Watch this. 1 triplet, 2 triplet, 3 triplet. 1 triplet, 2 triplet, 3 triplet. That last let, I didn't have a note for that. I just said it, And I'm emphasizing the 1 triplet, 2 triplet, 3 triplet, because I'm brainwashing you guys. I wish I had a better word for it, but I want to convince you to start feeling pa pa, 1 triplet, 2 triplet. It's all in how I think it and how I play it, and I'm communicating that to you. Okay, so when I did this whole thing with the scale game, I did not present it or play it with that triplet thing in mind. You could, but I prefer to do it 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2, and I prefer to do it with that feeling because, like I said, it's a little disorienting. If I did it with a triplet thing in mind, it's more palatable but less interesting, slightly less interesting to me. 1 triplet, 2 triplet, 3 triplet, 4 triplet. It's okay. It still sounds pretty. So what I played, I do not consider those triplets, but it's all in your head. How you present it and how you hear it. I don't know if that helps. I hope so. Max, you're talking about, I know what you're talking about, Max. Klingon ship, is that what you're talking about? I have no idea. I go back and I read these chats, the morning after, and sometimes I have questions, Okay, so speaking of questions, don't hesitate to get your questions in. Let's talk a little bit about those caged videos. Like I said, someone mentioned in the chat, I think it was last Saturday, that for all of us who are curious about the caged system, Dr. Molly Miller, love that name, Dr. Molly Miller, has a few videos specifically about the caged system. And I thought, well, I'm going to check those out because you guys have heard me be a little bit dismissive. I admit it's just not my thing. I don't use the caged system as part of my teaching. And so I thought, okay, I'll watch her videos, and they're very well done, very professional. She did a great job. But it did not make me feel like, wow, I really should include the whole cage system in my teaching. But I don't want to talk about this too much because I know I've addressed it in other live streams, and I don't want to discourage you guys from checking it out because it's a cool way of looking at the guitar, and her videos were well done. And I'm sure there's other people out there who have decent videos on the caged system as well. Again, the reason why I don't make it part of my teaching is when all is said and done, it doesn't help you play a specific song. You can find a way to make it work for a specific song, but I really like stuff that leads you somewhere. Not everything does. I get it. That scale thing I just did, that's not a song. It doesn't directly. So I realize I'm saying a couple of things. I'm saying two different things. But the cage system is a lot of work and a lot of effort. And I prefer to teach those concepts less formally. How's that? Less formally than calling it the caged system. But again, it's not a bad idea, and I'm definitely check it out. We talked before, and I'm not set up to do it with you guys today, but we talked before. I had a little light bulb moment 1 or 2 live streams ago when I said I could give you guys a quiz. We could do a 5-minute quiz during these live streams. And I could say, okay, you take a D major chord and you move it up 3 frets. Okay, what's the name of that chord? You know, to me, that's what the cage system helps you do, you know? So, but we could do it and just call it, 5 minutes of our live stream without getting all, formatty about it. By the way, all you need to know is the musical alphabet. D, D sharp, E, F. E and F are neighbors, right? There's nothing sharp or flat in between. So D, D sharp, E, F. So I got my D grip, my D form, but I'm at the 5th and 6th frets, and that's an F chord. Okay, so if we did that a few minutes every lesson, you would, I believe you would get a lot of bang for your buck. And then I would, maybe show you some songs that incorporate those chords. My fallback, I know I've done this before, is good old Jimmy Page in the song "Over the Hills and Far Away." Okay, he's taking the D form, the D grip, but he's basing it at 7 and 8, and at 9 and 10. And he's going back and forth between those two, right? And so I could quiz you guys like, okay, well, maybe I'll do it right now. Take a minute and put the answer in the chat. What's the name of that first chord and the name of the second chord? Again, it's the D grip, but you're gliding it up the neck until you're bass at the 7th and 8th frets, and then 2 more frets at the 9th and 10th frets. Okay? I'll give you a clue. The names of those 2 chords are very nice, friendly names. It's not anything weird like D flat or, So there's your quiz question. So like I said, if we did that every once in a while, you guys would get the hang of it. And the caged name, C-A-G-E-D, well, we would do that with those 5 chord grips, taking the E grip and move that up the neck. Oh, today, well, we're going to do it today anyways with the 1-finger major chord. Remember I told you we got a song, and the song that's based on that 1-finger major chord. That's what we're going to use for our play along tonight. And then we'll talk a little bit about this whole notion, chord family of the week. Well, it's going to be a 1-finger chord family. I love this. I love it too much. I love that fact that we can get a major chord with 1 finger. By the way, the song of the night, the sing-along, play-along song of the night, you only need 1 finger to play the song, my friends. Oh, you know what? I want to talk, I'm making a note so I don't forget about it. I opened up a can of worms last week. I said to you guys, do you know any songs? And okay. The reason I asked, okay, I'm just making a note to myself. The reason I asked is because not for the first time, I've had one of my in-person students say to me, I've had lessons for a year, 6 months, whatever, and I don't really know any songs. And that, makes my head explode. So some of you have been chatting with me about your perspective on that, and that has been very enlightening. I really appreciate those of you who have talked with me about, oh, Jonathan, here's where we're coming from. There's the teacher's point of view, and then there's the student's point of view. And that's been extremely helpful and enlightening. So we're going to talk about that tonight too. We have a bunch of correct answers. I see a bunch of correct answers that the first chord that Jimmy Page is strumming there and Over the Hills, and that part of Over the Hills and Far Away, is a G major chord that feels like a D chord, but it's a G major chord. And then he glides up 2 frets to an A major chord. That's right, because in the musical alphabet, G, if you move any G anything, the G note, G chord, any G anything, if you move it up 1 fret on the guitar, also known as a half step, the name changes to G sharp. And if you move it up 1 more fret, 1 more half step, the name changes to A. G, G sharp, A. So yeah, I tell you guys, knowing the musical alphabet, that's the key to everything. Even before you worry about the cage system and the musical alphabet, remember, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, okay? In between all those alphabet letters is that sharp thing, A sharp, right? D, D sharp, E, and so on. Except E and F have nothing in between. And what's the other one that has nothing in between? Someone say it. E and F, everlasting friends. They don't have that sharp thing in between. And B and C. B and C, best chums. Okay? So all you need is a musical alphabet. You need that knowledge. Or put it this way, you can't get far without just memorizing it, One more twist. Anything with a sharp name, like when I say A sharp, B, when I say that, anything with a sharp name has an alter ego with a flat name. A, B flat, B. I know my hand is going in different directions here. A sharp and B flat, two names for the same thing. Is that messed up? Sure, it's messed up. But you have no choice. You have to just deal with the fact that A sharp and B flat are two different names for the exact same thing. I know. But when I describe it to you guys, I like picking one and sticking with it. So A sharp, B, C. There's our best chums. C sharp, D sharp, E, F. There's our everlasting friends. F sharp, G sharp. I'm running out of camera space here. I'm getting out of the shot. After G sharp, the musical alphabet starts again on A. The good news is that's it. That's the musical alphabet. Some of you totally are like, oh my God, please move on to another subject. I get it. Some of you are like, wait, slow down, Beethoven, slow down. I get it. That's fine. We all have strengths and weaknesses. I've taught people who have very good musical skills and they just don't know stuff. I get it. I've also taught people who study stuff and they know stuff, but their playing is they play like a beginner because they are a beginner, but they have prioritized learning how music works. Or maybe they play another instrument. Maybe they're a great piano player and they're just picking up guitar for the first time, So they have all this musical knowledge. I've seen it all. Oh, I see, Max, I did see, okay. Max is saying, I thought you mentioned something about seeing a bird of prey out there. Yeah, I did. We have them. We have some big ones. Okay. So I'm going to check this off my agenda today. We talked about the cage system. Check. We talked about the solar eclipse coming up on Monday. Check. Okay. So your questions mean a lot to me. And Poopa John, you're asking me, like, what's going to be the play-along song today? Ooh, it's a good one. Those of you who have a choice between acoustic or electric guitar, and they're both right there, I recommend the electric guitar for the play-along song that we're going to do today. I recommend it. Joseph is saying something interesting. Says Chet Atkins has a beginner guitar video playing blues and 2-chord songs with a backing track. Okay. Interesting. Well, Joseph, if you could find that and put a link to that in the chat, that would be very cool. You won't miss too much. Chet Atkins, I know a lot of you guys are very familiar with Chet Atkins. A real musician's musician, without a doubt. And he makes it look so simple. And, Chet Atkins also had a huge influence way beyond guitar playing, which was as a producer. Really shining up the whole country music sound, giving it a really glossy, produced sound with strings. And some people, it was commercially, I think, very successful, but not to everybody's taste. But he sure had a massive influence on the sound of country records, Robbie 24 did learn the cage system. Excellent. And Robbie, if you're so inclined, if there was a song or a guitar riff, or just something that the system helped you with, or maybe you just understood something better because of the cage system. Feel free to put that in the chat as well. Feel free. Okay. So we had an interesting point last week, and I want to follow up. When a guitar player writes a song on piano, and there they are, Paul McCartney, Neil Young, Bob Dylan, you think, whoa, I didn't know they played piano. And they're doing it. And there's the song, and you think, wow, you know. And we talked a little bit about it last week. I believe it was Bruce from down in Sydney, Australia. I think it was you, Bruce, who said, you know, what are my thoughts on that? And should all of us guitar players learn some piano? And I definitely think we all should learn lots of stuff. And piano, definitely. I mean, you know, not only learn how to play the piano, but just for a moment see music through a piano player's eyes. And it's so interesting to see how they think of chords, for example. I'll tell you what, piano players don't stress out over F chords and bar chords. That's not even a thing. You know, bar chords is not even a thing for piano players, right? I'm not saying piano is easy, but the things that make us crazy are not the things that make piano players crazy, even though they're playing chords and we're playing chords, you know. But getting back to songwriters, here's a thought that I had. When you see, let's say, Paul McCartney playing piano on, let's say, Let It Be, and you think, oh man, the guy's a genius. Like, what can't he do? Man, now he's playing a song on piano. Man, who, you know, don't forget that he's playing his song on piano. And that's a huge thing, right? Paul McCartney wrote a song on piano, and his piano playing and the song are to some extent limited by his skills on the piano. So what you're getting is a great song, Let It Be, but you're seeing what Paul McCartney is capable of doing within his own song. You know, he decided how that song was going to go on the piano. If Paul McCartney, you know, suddenly could play some fancy Elton John song or a Billy Joel song, or Paul McCartney could do some amazing thing that he didn't write on the piano, to me, that would be a game changer. And for all I know, he can. I don't want to underestimate anybody, let alone Sir Paul McCartney. But when you see a guitar player suddenly playing the piano, just keep that in mind. It's their song, and you're seeing what they could come up with. And they polished it and got comfortable with it, and took a lot of time, I'm sure. John Lennon playing Imagine, right? To my knowledge, John Lennon didn't take any piano lessons, I don't think, you know. But that tells you something. That means the song Imagine just can't be that hard on the piano. You think Elton John had to stay up all night learning how to play Imagine on the piano, for example? I doubt it, you know. Doesn't mean it's not a great song, doesn't mean it's not competent piano playing. But that was a thought that popped into my head. You know, when you see a non-piano player playing the piano all of a sudden, yeah. Oh, speaking of which, I bet someone here saw Bruce Springsteen doing his Broadway performances, right? I bet we got 45 people watching right now. I bet some of you saw that. Is my understanding that Bruce Springsteen played piano as part of that Broadway show, right? And I bet it sounded great. But I bet he wasn't doing Elton John songs, right? He wasn't doing classical music. He was doing Bruce Springsteen songs. And guess who decides how the piano goes for Bruce Springsteen? Not me, not you, not Elton John, you know. So, okay, there you go. I want to follow up on that. This is what happens, you guys. I say goodnight on Saturday night, and Sunday, Monday, the wheels are turning. I think, I want to, I had a thought. Okay, I'm checking this off. And we're checking on our poll question in a minute. Okay, the poll question of the night was, what's your next instrument going to be? What's your next guitar going to be? Okay, just in case some of you are listening or you can't see the poll for whatever reason, here's the results. At the moment, electric guitar, 44% of respondents say, probably going to get electric guitar. 38% acoustic guitar. 10% are thinking the bass guitar. You know what? I'm surprised by that. I doubted whether I should even put that as an option in the chat. But yeah, man, definitely get a bass guitar. It's only 4 strings. It's only 4 strings. You just play the root note and everybody's happy. I definitely recommend getting a bass guitar. And you don't have to get the largest one. The bass guitars come in different sizes. And call up your Sweetwater rep and say, hey, I'm a guitar player. I want to grab a bass. What do you got that's not a full-size instrument? Doesn't mean it's for kids. It just means that it's a little bit easier to play. If you are so inclined to shop at Sweetwater, I put the Sweetwater affiliate link in the chat. And don't worry, it'll be in the description of this video as well. You click on that link, it brings you to Sweetwater, and then shop away. When you buy something from Sweetwater after using that link, Sweetwater gives our community here a little bit of their proceeds. And that goes to electricity, sound, rent, bottled water, internet, all that stuff. And I thank you in advance. And buy yourself something. Why not? You don't have to do it tonight. I believe that link sort of lasts for about 2 weeks. So click on that link. And then if you buy yourself something a week from now, I believe Sweetwater still, they still know where you came from. Okay. Ooh, I'm checking off a lot of things on the agenda here. Don't forget, my friends, now is the time to subscribe to my YouTube channel right here. Why is now a great time? Because we're so close to 200,000 subscribers. Last I checked, 199,806. And I'm just excited. And I have to figure out how we're going to celebrate 200,000. I don't know. I'm open to suggestions. You can put that in the chat. But 200,000, it's fun. YouTube doesn't throw anything my way. But and I know that, hey, it's a big number, man. Because in my mind, the next thing after 200,000 is 250,000. And when I think of that, 250,000, that sounds like a lot. That sounds like more than 250,000. 250,000, that sounds pretty cool. But I will be thrilled to see that, see the odometer click over to 200,000. Okay, so, Chaz, I see your question. We're going to jump in on that. Okay, I'm scrolling. Chris Create says, is the poll question binding? I already want to change my answer. I don't think you can go back and change, but go ahead and put in the chat. Let us know what's going on. Who did I see that someone was saying that the thing about a dobro might be the next thing? I just saw that someone who said that was that you, Chaz? A dobro? What a fun thing. When you get a dobro, which is basically a resonator guitar, right? That big metal silver plate right there. You have an option to get one with a square neck, literally a square neck. Those are intended to be played face up in your lap. And I think that square neck gives it just some nice solid stability. And I'm not sure why else they make it a square neck, except it makes the neck that much stronger. And it guarantees that you're never going to play it like a stereo guitar. But a dobro is a beautiful thing, almost always tuned to an open chord and played with a slide in your fretting hand. Beautiful, beautiful thing. And just a little ability on a dobro type instrument, slide guitar in an open tuning, just a little skill goes a long way. It's such an evocative sound. That's the word I choose to use for stringed instruments that put your mind in a new place. A little bit of banjo, all of a sudden your mind's in a new place, right? A little bit of dobro, a little bit of pedal steel, very evocative, just, yeah. You guys are cracking me up. Deborah, I'm sorry, your internet is not working too well. That's believe me, remember when the live stream sometimes would end abruptly. Yeah, I know that. Willie Snyder's talking about getting a Diamond Darrell electric 6-string for your next guitar. Very cool. Scott Rhodes, Boogie Woogie piano, a very cool thing. Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, I don't know. There's not enough hours in the day. There's a couple years ago, I got really into playing piano. I was teaching. I always teach piano, but usually I teach beginners. And my goal is to get them moving on to a hardcore piano teacher to get them to that point, And I had an adult student who was doing really great, and I was trying to stay one step ahead of her, and so I was playing the piano a lot, almost every day, and it felt so good. I mean, I was not a hot shot by any means, but you know that feeling when you can see the light at the end of the tunnel, things are starting to work. Different things are happening, like you're getting things memorized, things are beginning to flow a little bit. Oh, it's such a great feeling on any instrument. And I was starting to get that on the piano, and I haven't been back at it often enough. Okay, Poopa John is thinking about getting a Rosewood D16. Is that a Martin Rosewood from Guitar Center? A Rosewood D16. Maybe Rosewood back and sides. I think I know what you're talking about. Yeah, beautiful. All right. Oh, Scott Rose, you were talking about checking out a dobro. Yeah, beautiful thing. Okay, Chaz, your question. Should guitar players learn inversions, first and second inversions? Short answer, yeah. Oh, yeah, learn everything. Yep. Longer answer, we already do inversions. We just don't know it, So what an inversion is, you have to stop thinking like a guitar player and think like every other instrumentalist other than guitar, especially piano players who, you know what I would love? I would love a virtual piano, or even the ability to share screen. So suddenly right now, I go to split screen and you see a shot of my fingers. Like if I had a piano right here, right to my right, and then I could do a split screen, you could see me. That's doable. Someday I'm gonna find a way to do that, because we're not talking about just talking about a second camera, right? Okay, so a C major chord involves a C note, an E note, and a G, right? C, E, and G. Those are the three ingredients in a C major chord. Doesn't matter whether you're playing guitar, piano, banjo, any instrument that plays chords. Okay. If you play it with C as a low note, and then E is the next note, and then G is the next note, that's known as a normal C chord. If you mix up the order in any way, like E as a low note, and then G in the middle, and C on top, any order, those are known as inversions. We do that a lot on the guitar without thinking about it, because the way we all learn guitar is someone says, this is a C chord, this is a D chord, and we learn them as finger grips. That is not the way piano players learn them. The piano players are more likely to learn the concept that C, E, and G is a C chord, and then they begin messing around with C's, E's, and G's. And especially if they're learning from a teacher out of a book, they'll be told, this is the first inversion, this is the second inversion, and so on. It just means which order. Picture a snowman, but the snowman, you can take the head of the snowman and put that on the ground, and so on, right? You keep like changing the order of the three big snowballs that make up a snowman. Okay. So like when I teach, I don't say to my guitar student, I don't say, this is a new inversion of the chord. If I use anything at all, I'm more likely to use the word voicing, meaning, here's G, the way we all learn it, the typical cowboy chord G. And then, like we saw Jimmy Page do a minute ago, here's G up the neck. That feels like a D form, a D chord, but it's at 7/8/7. It's a G. I'm more likely just to say that, hey, here's a way of playing D up the neck. Here's a way of playing G, Gulf up the neck. That feels like a D chord, but it's a G. And I don't really use I definitely don't use terms like inversions. And I might not even use the word voicing. Or sometimes I say, hey, if you want to tell your people in your life, what you do in your guitar lesson today, you can say, oh, I learned some new voicings of chords. It sounds like so legit. When really it's just a D grip up the neck, but it is a different voicing of a G chord. That's just another way to say it. Okay, so Chaz, that's learning inversions without using the word inversions. Bar chords. You could say bar chords if you know how to play say an A bar chord with your bar at the 5th fret and your ring, middle, and pinky forming what's known as the E major shape. Okay, that's an A chord. And then you have the A cowboy chord down here, and that's an A chord. So, I just resist using words like inversions or even voicings too much because I want to get right to the physicality of it, But you asked the question, should guitar players learn inversions? Definitely. And if you want to take the extra step and learn the music theory, that we all should learn. And you don't even need the guitar in your hands to do that. In fact, the guitar could even make it confusing. Don't forget, like you would ever forget, the guitar moves in 2 directions, up and down the neck and across the neck, string to string across the neck, right? So for the record, I'm pointing my finger from the fat string, I'm pointing it down towards the skinny string. I call that going across the neck. And of course, up and down the neck is going from the 1st fret up to the 12th fret and so on. Guitar moves in those 2 directions, mentally, visually. We have to keep track of both of those dynamics. Piano players do not. It's about a big line of keys in front of you, right? So learning inversions, learning the concept of inversions is way easier on the piano. Literally, you pluck, okay, here's my C, my E, my G, okay, C, E, G. And the piano teacher says, okay, take that low C, and instead of playing that C, play the G that's up past take the low C, and instead of playing the C as a low C, play it as a higher C up above the G. So now we have E, G, C, and so on. And that's inversion. So that's all very linear and like visual. And we all should know that music theory. And learning that music theory is a lot easier when you look at a piano than looking at a guitar. So yeah. Chaz, thank you for your super chat. I see a couple of super chats here. Thank you, guys. I appreciate that. Stephen, I'm going to give that. Okay, there we go. All right. I'm giving you guys some hearts, man. Stephen, hey, Stephen, I'm coming to Maine again this summer. Okay. So we got to connect again. Can I talk about my life for a minute? I'll make this very short. For 20 years, we went to the same place in Maine. Loved the place. My son went there in utero and had been there every year of his life for 20 years, basically. We stayed almost in the exact same cabin for most of the years. Love this place. I mean, part of our family life. Any place you go on vacation every summer for 20 years, that's part of your family. New guy bought it, jacked up the prices quadrupled the prices is what I'm trying to say. Quadrupled the prices. We can't afford that. Sorry, you guys. Can't afford it. Unbelievable, man. And so like that, everything your family has ever done for 20 years. Nope, you're not doing that anymore. However, we love Algonquin, Maine, and we're still going to go to Algonquin, Maine. We're just going to stay someplace else, which is fine. It's just that, you guys know, you find a vacation spot. You can just barely afford it. Life is good. You worked it out. You find a way to make it happen. And then all of a sudden you can't do it anymore. Ouch. So my point, Stephen, is I hope to see you again. And any of you guys who live in the southern Maine, okay, that's where I'll be, southern Maine. Early August, late July, early August, something like that. I love stopping by. Oh, speaking of, I don't know if you can see, I got my Buck Dancer's Choice. There we go, t-shirt on, Buck Dancer's Choice from Portland, Maine. I got my Buck Dancer's Choice t-shirt on. So I definitely plan on stopping by a few guitar stores in that vicinity, and I hope to see you guys. So I'll keep you posted. I know it's a long ways off. So we'll still go, but Life changes, and you got to roll with it. We found a great place. It's still gonna work. Sam has a cousin in Kennebunk and an uncle in York. All right, man. You're from Michigan and your mom's from New Hampshire. All right. Well, York, I'm very familiar with York, Maine, because as you know, it's a neighbor of Algonquin, Maine. So, we have our favorite places to go in York, Maine. And Kennebunk is a little ways away. Different income bracket up there. But we have been to Kennebunk and obviously the whole part of Maine. Great place. Very cool. Okay, let's check in with the poll results. Oh, acoustic guitar is slipping ahead here as people vote. We got 50 votes in acoustic guitar. When the question was, what is your next guitar going to be? In the lead now, acoustic guitar at 40%, electric guitar 38%, bass holding steady at 10%, and other is 12%. Those of you who are thinking other, go ahead and put that in the chat. What might some of the other instruments be? It might not even be a stringed instrument. That'd be very interesting if it's not a stringed instrument. Okay. Hey, how about if we do, it's about the 1 hour mark. How about if we do our play along, sing along of the night? One of my absolute favorite guitar players. Great song. Okay, I'm going to shuffle my papers here. On the menu tonight for you, we have J.J. Cale's classic song, Cocaine. That's right. Okay, so get one finger ready. You pick which finger. You only need one finger. I love this song so much. I want to get right into the playing of it. And then, of course, we'll analyze it to death. Among the many things that I dig about this song is J.J. Cale's original version. He overdubs some really killer guitar parts with some great tones. And I love his style. And this song is such a groove. And you can play it with one finger. Okay, so we're going to begin playing it very, very soon. I don't want to talk about it too much. You are going to see me play one finger major chords at the 9th fret. In my mind, I'm imagining an A major chord, but I'm doing that A major chord with one finger. I'm gliding that one finger up to the 9th fret. With my pick, I'm very carefully going to strum just the 4th, 3rd, and 2nd frets. Oops. Okay, I'm gliding between the 9th and 7th frets. I know it's small print here. 9, 9, 7, 9, 7. Okay, also known as E, E, D, E. You could play it down here with cowboy chords. It's a little bit tricky because you got to switch fast between those chords. A little bit easier to use one finger. For extra credit, put your ring finger at 9 and use that for the 9s. Index for the 7s. Back to ring finger for the 9s. Because then your hand, arm, wrist really doesn't have to move, okay? To the best of your ability, don't play the first skinny string with your pick. Don't do it. If you're not using a pick, then you can totally cheat and just use your thumb, index, and middle and just pluck the 4th, 3rd, and 2nd strings. And then you don't have to worry about hitting the skinny string, but you want to develop the type of aim where you use just enough energy. Where are we here? Just enough energy to get the 4th, 2nd, and 3rd strings, but don't strum the skinny 1st string. Also, you can take your picking hand ring finger and just rest it lightly. Just grab the skinny string lightly with I use my ring finger on my right hand, and it's dampening out that note anyways. So it doesn't matter whether my pick hits it or not. And one more workaround, one more solution. With a little bit of practice, you can learn to angle whichever finger you use, to angle it just right so the skinny string sounds like that. And I'm using my ring finger here, and it's the skin of my ring finger is touching the first skinny E string, but there's not enough pressure to make any sound come out. Okay, so at the heart of this song by J.J. Cale is a one-finger major chord. 9, 9, 7, 9, 7. Now, Eric Clapton, when he did it, he threw in a little thing, and that's illustrated right there. On your 5th string, A string, a little hammer-on from 0 to 2, followed by the open 4th string. See that? 0, 2 hammer-on the 5th string, A string, and then there's the open 4th string. Eric Clapton put that in like a little response. Like, here's the call, and then here's the response. And the whole thing, you know. Now, you do not have to do that. If you choose to do it, let me give you 2 things to think about. Technically, Eric Clapton does a little trill. He doesn't just hammer on once. He goes like this. Rapid fire hammer-ons. Okay? Now, it doesn't sound bad with just a standard, modest little hammer-on, but, second thing, if you choose to do that, which J.J. Cale does not do that little riff, but if you choose to put that in, as you're playing that last 0, the open D string, you better use that time to start zipping your left hand back up to the 9th fret, because you have no time to waste. So my fretting hand is in motion even as I'm playing that open D string. You got that okay? All right. That's the heart of the song. There are 3 times, at least 3 times, when he breaks away from that. If you know the lyric, it's when he's saying, she don't lie, she don't lie, she don't lie. And he begins this descending thing. See this right here? This is this. Oh, see that repeat sign? Repeat sign at the end of line 1. You're going to be doing that a lot of times. When the time is right, 9, 9. I'm looking at the second line now. 9, 9, 7, 9, 7. Okay. Oh, by the way, anything in parentheses, do not play anything you see in parentheses. It just means the chord is still ringing, but don't play anything in parentheses. And that goes for anything you ever do. Don't play this stuff in parentheses anytime in any song. Okay. She don't lie. Right on the word lie, there's the 9s. Ignore those 9s in parentheses. The second time he says lie, she don't lie, it's the 7s. See that? Those 7s right there? The third time he says she don't lie, right in the word lie, it's 5s. She don't 9, she don't 7, she don't 5, 4. She don't lie, she don't lie, she don't lie. And when I said 4, that's the 1-finger chord at the 4th fret. 9, 7, 5. Let me get this in the shot right. 9, 7, 5, 4. Cocaine, and the whole thing begins again. Okay, that's it. That's the whole song right there. Like I said before, J.J. Cale. I assume it's all J.J. Cale overdubbed a bunch of cool guitar stuff in there. And if it's someone, a friend of his on guitar, I don't know the details. If there was another guitar player on the track, whoever it is, I'm going to give J.J. Cale all the credit. Whoever it is, though, oh, it's so tasteful. So this is the heart of the song right here. But yeah, if you listen closely, you don't even have to listen that closely. You're going to hear all sorts of cool stuff. Paul Mannion, you're saying J.J. Cale totally underrated. I agree. Okay. Okay, so let's do it. The play along song is going to begin in a moment. There's essentially 3 verses 3 times through. In my mind, I'm trying to channel the J.J. Cale version, so it's not very fast. He doesn't do it very fast. Ironic, because considering the subject matter, you think this song would be triple speed? J.J. Cale, man, nothing. I think Mr. Cale, he did fast things when he wanted to do fast things, but otherwise he moved at his own speed, and I love that so much. Okay, so how about if I play the intro riff a couple of times? Sometimes I'm going to do that little Eric Clapton. Sometimes I'm not. That's okay. You guys can do the same thing. All right. I'll see you on the other side. 1, 2, 3, 4. If you wanna hang out, you got to take her out. Cocaine. If you wanna get down on the ground. Cocaine. She don't lie, she don't lie, she don't lie. Cocaine. If you got bad news, you wanna kick them blues. Cocaine. When your day is done and you wanna run. Cocaine. She don't lie, she don't lie, she don't lie. Cocaine. If your day is gone and you wanna ride on. Cocaine. Don't forget this fact, you can't get it back. Cocaine. She don't lie, she don't lie, she don't lie. Cocaine. All right, so I threw in a few of those cowboy chords at the end so you could hear what it sounds like with the old-fashioned E, E, D, A, D. All right, how'd you do? Some of you are saying, ooh, how do I solo on top of this? The E minor pentatonic scale. It's essentially, the song is a blues in the key of E. And an E minor pentatonic scale or E blues scale, you could do, the E minor pentatonic we referred to before, 0, 3, 0, 2, 0, 2, 0, 2, 0, 3. You could make it the E blues scale by adding that one extra sound, right? Starting on the 6th string, 0, 3, 5th string, 0, 1, 2, 4th string, 0, 2, 3rd string, 0, 2, 3, 2nd string, 0, 3, 1st string, 0, 3. That's the E blues scale. Had 2 B flats added. Otherwise, it would just be the E minor pentatonic scale. But the E blues scale has a B flat 5th string, 1st fret. That's the A string, 1st fret, and 3rd string, 3rd fret. Okay, the E blues scale. Those of you who want to play way up the neck, the same deal, but 12 frets higher. I'm going to play it as an E minor pentatonic, fat string 12, 15, 12, 14, 12, 14, 12, 14, 12, 15, 12, 15. By the way, you don't have to just play along with what we just did. You play along with the actual song, crank it up, man. I'm 99% sure Eric Clapton's version is in the same key. So play along with both of them. Have some fun. Bruce, you like those cowboy chords? Yeah, why not? Why not? Blair says those trills are a must. Well, it does. Interestingly, like I said, J.J. Cale himself, that's not part of his version. But it's a cool. It's hip. It's hip that Eric Clapton put that in. But what's also hip is everything else J.J. Cale put in the track, So, okay. So, there you go. That's a good, so we're going to talk about the one finger major chords. And then we're going to talk about this whole concept of like knowing a song all the way through. Okay, bear with me, folks. There we go. There's the agenda. Okay, so in terms of the chord family of the week, not for the first time, we find ourselves talking about this whole concept of a one finger major chord. We're in the key of E. Take my word for it. The way I can prove we're in the key of E, though, is that cool walk down when it goes, she don't lie, and then 7th fret. No, that was the 9th fret. And then the 7th fret, and the 5th fret, and the 4th. Hear that tension? You just know the song's not going to end with that. That's a B chord. That 4th fret, 1-finger major chord. You can just tell the song's not going to end on that 4th fret B right there, because it's got this very significant tension. Well, guess what? B chords are useful in the key of E. The B chord is known as the 5 chord. And the 5 chord has this tension that really makes you want to start the song again and go back to the 1 chord. So I know this is circular logic, but one way I know it's in the key of E is because that B chord has created this tension that makes me want to go back to E again. Okay, so that's one of many reasons I am comfortable saying the song is in the key of E. So look what he's doing. Speaking of chord families, he's got the 1 chord, the E chord, and he keeps dropping back to the D chord. And the D chord would be known as the flat 7 chord, because D, the D note, is the flatted 7th note of the E major scale. Why are we talking about the E major scale? Because the song's in the key of E. So the E major scale is our reference point. A while back, I said that I had a romantic affection for the flat 7 chord. I love when the flat 7 chord shows up. And this song is like, it's nothing but bouncing back and forth between the tonic, the E, the root note chord, the 1 chord, and its flat 7 neighbor 2 frets behind it. Right? It's all about going from the E to the D. I mean, that's what's going on here, right? And that's the heart of the song. So that would be known as a 1 chord, going to the flat 7, back to the 1 chord, back to the flat 7. Now, what I also love is this walk down. She don't lie. There's my E at 9. She don't lie. There's the D at 7. She don't lie. There's the C at 5. That C, oh, it really wants, musically, it wants to get down to that B. C is like a wrong chord. There is no C chord in the key of E. I mean, I'm simplifying a little bit, but yeah, trust me, there's no C chord in the key of E. That's okay. There is a B chord. So JJ Cale has us play the wrong chord because he knows there's a magnetic pull to the B chord, which is a legitimate chord in the key of E. And it serves that B chord has this, it also has its own, it has its own tension, you could say, not because it's a B major chord, because it's a B major chord in this context. So that C is like a wrong chord, but there's this magnetic pull to the right chord, and then the whole thing goes back to E again, because in the key of E, B chords, they have this tension that makes us want to hear that E chord. And that's the whole tune, you know, that nice little walk down, 9 to 7 to 5 to 4. And then the whole thing starts over again. So our chord family of the night, obviously, the 1 chord, that flat 7 chord, that's the D. The C chord, if you were to ask me what we'd call that C chord, what a pain. I guess I would call it the raised 5 chord. B is known as the 5 chord, again, because the B note is the 5th note of an E major scale. And so, I mean, that C, I would guess I would call it the raised 5 chord, meaning it's 1 step or one half step, one half step higher than the 5 chord. And you know, let's call it that. You're either going to call it the raised 5 chord or the flatted 6th chord. Now, I'm going to stop teaching for a moment and point out that how confusing is this? My finger's at the 5th fret, but I'm calling that the raised 5 chord. My finger goes down to the 4 chord. I'm calling that the 5 chord. Sorry, at the fourth fret. My finger's at the 4th fret on the B major chord, but I'm calling that the 5 chord. It is the 5 chord. But if these numbers feel like they're pecking at your brain like a woodpecker, yes, I get it. I know. So there's the fret number. That's one thing that we have to keep track of. And then in terms of music theory, there's the nickname. Remember, these are all nicknames, calling D the flat 7 chord. That's just a nickname, and that's unique to this song, the fact that we're in the key of E. So yeah, I get it. Let's get to your questions. Willie Snyder, It's saying, what is your favorite instrument to mix with guitar besides bass and drums? Oh, I love it. Love the question. I'll give you some examples, but I'm going to get a little artsy on you. And I'm going to say whatever instrument fits the song. So it depends on the song I'm working on, whether it's a cover tune or I'm writing my own song. But I'll tell you what I have at my disposal, because I like having it at my disposal. I have an accordion, a lap steel guitar, piano, of course. I have an electric piano keyboard. It doesn't have a million bells and whistles. I think it makes like 3 different sounds. Nice organ sound. Maybe I might have a couple organ sounds, a couple of piano sounds, but that can be pretty sweet. I got a mandolin kicking around. Did I say banjo? I got a banjo kicking around. So yeah, it really depends. So in my own personal songwriting, I've overdubbed all of those things sooner or later, depending on whatever I think fits that song, because it's so fun. So if I had to pick one favorite, well, they're all, like I said, so evocative. Just a little squeeze of an accordion, just playing a chord in the background. Let me assure you, a squeeze box. You got it, 9 ball them. Let me assure you, I'm not a great accordion player, but to take one hand and get a chord going, on the accordion, it puts your brain in a different space. I love the banjo. I love the piano. Yeah. So what I don't play are any wind instruments. I know nothing about all the trumpets and saxes and all that stuff. I like the kazoo is as far as I go. But stringed instruments and accordions and pianos, keyboard instruments, those are fun. Deborah is pointing out, Deborah, thank you for keeping track of this. Acoustic and electric guitar are neck and neck. The question of the night is, what is your next guitar going to be? Acoustic and electric are tied 40% each. Bass has slipped down to 9%, and other is kicking butt at 11%. Very interesting. Very interesting. Okay, so you guys, I'm checking things off my list. My favorite thing is answering your questions. But these things I throw out there from my little agenda, that's satisfying too, because as you guys know, I teach all week. I teach Monday through Saturday, and all these things are rolling around my head. And part of what I enjoy doing with you guys is processing some of these things. Oh, so speaking of processing these things, here's some of the feedback I got when after I mentioned the idea that I thought you guys knew songs, and I got some feedback from you guys in general, not you personally, but from my students in general, like, I don't really know any songs. I thought, but because where I'm coming from, like, now's a good time to put this list up. Where I'm coming from, you guys, especially if you've watched any of the last 20 live streams or so, in my mind, you guys know all these songs, right? So here's what I've learned from you all in general. And this might apply to some of you very specifically and others not so much. The students of mine who feel they just don't know any songs, I became aware that those of you who feel that way, you're thinking of yourselves as a performer. You don't feel ready to get up in front of people and play, say, like anything from that list right there. By the way, for those of you who are not watching, maybe you're listening, I just put on the screen on the big board the SongBike Livestream weekly play-along list that has every song in alphabetical order that we've done for the past 20 weeks or so, give or take. Except tonight's song, Cocaine, is not on here. I'll add that to the list. So yeah, if your standard that you're holding yourself to is being ready to perform a song like a performer, like you get up in front of a mic or you're at a campfire barbecue and everyone's looking at you, if that's your standard, then I get how I get that. I get that. So when someone says, do you know any songs? You say, I do not know any songs because I'm not ready to do that thing yet, with no music stand, no papers of any kind. That I get. I wish you would stop saying you don't know any songs, because that makes me crazy. You just learned cocaine right there. But I get it. I laugh. I laugh. I love you guys. um, so, but that's why I felt a disconnect. People weren't saying, "Geez, Jonathan, I wish you would show me a song," because I got very defensive. They weren't saying to me, "Jonathan, you haven't taught me anything. You haven't taught me a song." What they were saying in their mind was, "I'm not ready to perform yet." And I get that. I totally get that. I totally get it. So it helps me. It helps me to have this conversation. So I get that for sure. But I want, if that's not everyone's goal. If that's your goal, then let's get you there, man. Let's get you there. There's a whole bunch of songs that are about as easy as songs are going to get, Helpless, Hey Joe, all those live streams, those little numbers in parentheses, that's the live stream number of my live streams that covers that song. So at 27, Hey Joe was back at live stream number 27, but today is number 42, I think, right? I think so. So there you go. That's what those numbers mean, right? So pick one of those tunes. In conversation with you guys in the past week, it's clear that you want to really love the song. If you're going to perform it, if you're going to take the song to that level, you got to love the song. You got to connect with it. I get that. Believe me, I get that. You're absolutely right. It could be that the song that you're not connecting with the songs on this list. That's okay. We're going to do this every week, man. And I'm not going to stop. I have a bunch of songs on deck. That fit my requirements. A relatively slow song with pretty easy repetitive chords, a song that doesn't have a whole lot to memorize, songs that are pretty straightforward. You can certainly sum them up on one piece of paper, if not a scrap of paper, So I'm not going anywhere, knock on wood. So if you don't connect with any of these songs, no worries. But if you're frustrated and you feel like you don't know any songs, you got to pick one sooner or later. And I'm trying my best to come up with the ones that I consider to be accessible, repetitive, straightforward tunes. They're all different from each other. I'll say that. But okay, pick one of them, man. Pick one of them and make one of them your song. You got to internalize it, right? You got to do it so many times that it begins to flow, that things become automatic. It's work. I'm not going to lie. It's work, especially the first one. Whatever the first one is, it's work. There's no way around it. There's no there's no shortcut, and nobody can do it for you. But the second one comes a lot quicker, and the third one comes a lot quicker. You go from being able to play 2 songs the way you want to being able to play 9 songs the way you want to, especially if you choose wisely, right? For example, you don't have to carry yourself. How do I want to put this? I believe just about none of the songs in this list require anybody to do bar chords. So I don't know. They have that in common. So if you've been killing yourself to work on bar chords, nothing wrong with that. Go for it. But just be aware, there's a ton of stuff you can do without bar chords. Let's throw a scenario out there. You could spend 2 months working on bar chords, or 2 months working on a few songs that don't have bar chords. I don't know. I'm just putting it out there, All right. So my point is, thank you guys for your feedback. And now you know how I'm receiving your feedback. And it was great feedback. The idea that many of you hold yourself to that high standard as wanting to perform the songs. And until you get to that point, then you're not where you want to be. And that I totally understand that. Yep. Awesome. Good conversation. Good talk. Okay. And so therefore I'm going to check it off my list. Oh, I can't wait to share this next thing with you. Don't go anywhere. I know some of you are like, oh, I got to go do XYZ. Not yet. Let me check this off. What am I trying to check off? I want to check off. Oh, that one. Okay. So here's what I want to talk about. I'm very excited by this because it's fun. I mean, my job is pretty fun, but a week or two ago, Rick, I don't know if you're in the chat, but I made a note that Rick G brought up Back to the Future, where Michael J. Fox's character, Marty McFly, plays Johnny B. Goode. And the audience has never heard this before because it hasn't been written, right? It's Back to the Future, that whole vibe, right? And the audience is like, whoa, what is this music, And it's kind of a fun scene. Okay, so Rick, I don't remember your exact point. It was a perfectly good point. I just don't remember how you put it. But I wanted to talk about that scene in the movie, and not just talk about it, but I have a link. Okay. Don't worry. I'm going to put this in the description as well. Here is a link. Oh, come on. What just happened here? Hold on, everybody. Don't go anywhere. I got too many buttons in front of me. Okay, I'm still here. I pressed the wrong button. Okay. Copy. Paste. All right. Paste. Okay. So I'm putting in the chat a YouTube link to that scene in the movie. Okay, there we go. So you know what we're talking about. And what I put in the chat says, Marty McFly blues riff in B. So my first thing I want to say is, Johnny B. Goode is not in the key of B. I don't know why they said that, except that's show business. It's in the key of B flat. Everyone knows that, right? It's in the key of B flat. Why would they change that for the movie? Absolutely no idea. I don't know. But I'm sure in the history of cinema, there have been greater transgressions. But that one currently bugs me more than any other transgression I've ever seen. Like, why would they? Marty McFly turns to the band and says, okay, you guys, it's blues in B, or blues riff in B, right before they start off Johnny B. Goode. And the song's in B flat. Why not just say B flat? Because it wouldn't kill you. Okay. But so here's some things I noticed watching the scene. Michael J. Fox can totally play the guitar. Whether he's literally playing the guitar that we're hearing, I doubt it, because that's not how music is made, how movies are made. But it was fun watching him, and because he knows what he's doing. For example, Michael J. Fox was playing that B. Where's my pick here? He was playing remember that thing I said was the hardest thing in the world on the guitar? In this case, it's the key of B shuffle, where your pinky has to reach up. For the record, I'm doing a B power chord, index finger 7 on the E string, fat E string, ring finger 9 on the A string, a B power chord. And while that is staying in place, my pinky is going to grab 11 on the A string. I'll put this, don't worry, I'll put this in the description, right? Timestamp this video. Okay. So you can see Michael J. Fox's pinky reaching up there. He's not faking it. He's really doing it, Not, again, I'm not saying that we're hearing his actual guitar playing at the moment. I'm saying Michael J. Fox knows how to play the guitar. I mean, if you could film a scene in a movie and you didn't have to even fake that stretch, you wouldn't fake that stretch. He's doing it because he knows. That's how Johnny B. Goode goes. Technically, it should be 1 fret back in the key of B flat, but whatever. Okay, I'll let go of that. You can also see there's some shots from behind where you can see Michael J. Fox's thumb move depending on what he's playing. I believe when he's doing what I just did, his thumb is pointing straight up towards the ceiling. But if you watch carefully, because the shot is from behind the neck of the guitar, when he starts putting in some of the riffs, that kind of Chuck Berry playing, his thumb slips over to what I would call parallel to the neck. And he's going back and forth. da 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 da, and then his thumb slips, more parallel to the neck, and he does the riff, and he goes back. Anyways, it's fun to watch. The guy totally knows how to play the guitar. Maybe that's common knowledge that Michael J. Fox is a perfectly competent guitar player. I didn't think one way or the other, but now watching it, you can see, yeah, the guy knows what he's doing. Okay, so I wanted to talk about that for a little bit. And now, as I did my deep dive, I realized I'm not the craziest person on YouTube. This guy is the craziest person on YouTube, because this guy, who clearly has too much time in his hands, he watched the video way closer than I did. And okay, bear with me for a second. He's a guitar player who did a YouTube video. He made a video of what you would actually hear if Michael J. Fox's guitar part was actually audible. Okay, so bottom line is, he listened and watched, and if he saw Michael J. Fox at the whatever 9th fret playing something, then he did it. Okay, do you get what I'm saying? If this sounds kind of painstaking and weird, both of those things are true. But it's a fun video to watch. So I'm going to put that in the chat. Don't worry, I'll put that in the description too. So this is, I'm sorry, I forgot his name, but he will get credit when you click on the link. Okay, so somehow he took off the guitar track that you hear in the movie theater. You hear the rest of the band playing, you hear the sing, but you don't hear the actual guitar track, right? Instead, you hear this YouTuber doing everything that you see Michael J. Fox's hands doing. And if the camera shot moves away from Michael J. Fox's hands, there's zero guitar audible. Okay, so it's only when you see Michael J. Fox's hands move. Okay, I'll let it go. But it's a fun thing. And it's pretty accurate from what I can tell, because Michael J. Fox does not seem to be miming exactly every note you're hearing on the soundtrack, which is fine. It's not his job to do that. Not exactly, Anyways, okay, there you go. Fun stuff. So I see some comments are coming in. Hold on. Okay. Paul is saying, I was in the Army, had a Scots guardsman who could play anything from Elvis to the Beatles on his bagpipes. Yeah, man. Very interesting. Scott is making a good point. Scott says, didn't we all just play cocaine using bar chords? No, because the definition of bar chord involves covering all 6 strings, at the same time. What we did was, I guess, if push came to shove, I would call that a partial bar. I just called it a 1-finger major chord, but a partial bar. So yeah, not officially bar chords. Hey, Joseph Galasso is suggesting You're Still the Same by Bob Seger. Hey, you know what? Very cool. I'll put that on the list. I'll check it out. Bob Seger wrote a lot of great songs. Okay. Bruce, thank you so much for your donation. I appreciate that so much. I see the word baklava. You guys talking about food? Joseph, don't talk about food. You're killing me. I had a peanut butter sandwich at a few hours ago, and I'm gonna really chew my own hand or something. Okay. Sam Stamos is mentioning that there's interesting, Sam, a continuity problem in Back to the Future. The guitar that Michael J. Fox is shown playing came out in 1958, you're saying, and the movie is before that. Interesting. I love stuff like that. I don't personally have an eye for that. Certainly not for Gibson, ES guitars, but I'm sure you're right. Very interesting. On the one hand, I know it's not a big deal. On the other hand, it'd be so easy to say, hey, it's this year. What guitar would be the appropriate guitar for that year? I mean, it's just not that hard to do, The song's in the key of B flat. Why do they play it in the key of B? Why? Okay. remotely possible that Michael J. Fox's singing voice was significantly more comfortable in the key of B than in B flat. I mean, it's possible. But even then, you could still verbalize to the band, hey, let's play it in B flat, no matter how they really played it, because at least that would be historically accurate. What if someone out there thinks Johnny B. Goode is actually in B? Heavens. I don't know. Okay, Bruce is saying there's a great video on YouTube of Michael J. Fox playing guitar with Coldplay, on stage with Coldplay, and he's seriously good. There you go. That's awesome. That's awesome. Okay, friends, we have a few minutes left here. We're not going to wrap up too soon, but it's not too late to get your questions in. Just remember to put a handful of question marks in advance of your question. If you asked a question earlier in tonight's live stream and I did not address it, just post it again. I must have just missed it. Okay, until those questions come in, I want to remind you guys that I'm working on my next book, the Chord Melody Songbook. I have a feeling I'm going to do more than one volume of this, but just to whet your appetite, I hope to have this available to you guys very soon. It'll be available as an ebook. You buy it, download it, either print out the whole book or just print out the songs that you're currently practicing. To whet your appetite, here are the majority of the songs in the book. I'm sure I'll be adding at least one or two, but so far, you ready? In alphabetical order, the songs that will be featured in my Chord Melody ebook include After the Gold Rush by Neil Young, Alice's Restaurant by Arlo Guthrie, Old Lang Syne, Autumn Leaves, Blue Eyes Crying in the Rain by Willie Nelson, Can't Help Falling in Love, Cockles and Mussels, Fields of Gold by Sting, Georgia on My Mind, I Hope That I Don't Fall in Love with You by Tom Waits, Let It Be by the Beatles, Make You Feel My Love by Bob Dylan, Minuet in G, Moon River, Morning Has Broken by Cat Stevens, Norwegian Wood by, say it with me, the Beatles, All 55 by Tom Waits, although many people know it as performed by the Eagles, Send in the Clouds, Shenandoah, Summertime, Tennessee Waltz, Turn the Page by Bob Seger, The Water is Wide, What a Wonderful World, as sung by Louis Armstrong, When Irish Eyes Are Smiling, Wild Mountain Time, Yesterday by the Beatles, and You've Got a Friend. That's a lot of songs. It's going to be a great book. I'm so excited. I did not have much time to work on it this week because Friday is a big work day for me, and yesterday I sacrificed my work day to talk to kids. One of the local schools, remember I told you about the towns of Lyme and Old Lyme, and they combine, and the schools are called Lyme Old Lyme, LOL. So I was at LOL Middle School yesterday, Lyme Old Lyme Middle School in Old Lyme, Connecticut. They had Arts Day. And let me tell you, you tell me if this is what you think of this. Every year, they alternate between an Arts Day, where people like me come in and talk about arts, and every other year, instead they do Career Day. Now, you tell me, what kind of message does that send to kids? Hey, kids, there's arts, and then there's a career. And I have a bone to pick with that division there. But I think it's hilarious. It's the world we live in. Now, I didn't know that was the case. I just thought, Arts Day, and I was invited to come and talk about arts and presumably what I do in the world of the arts. And I only found out, while I was there, that that next year it's going to be back to Career Day. And I thought, wait a minute. Why can't arts be a career? Like, what am I doing here? Anyways, so that was kind of hilarious. So I spent a day, not the whole day, but when I would have been working, say, on the Chord Melody book, I spent it with middle schoolers yesterday. And I told them, hey, beginner guitar lessons, thank you for being here. I know you got to head off. Let's give beginner guitar lessons a little woohoo. How's that? Nope, not that one. No, we want this one. There we go. We got sensitive crickets. Thank you, beginner guitar lessons. We got sensitive crickets on this mixing board I have. Hitting any button on the mixing board activates the cricket sound effect. It's just, they're sensitive crickets, man. The divas, they want to be heard. I'm joking. Okay, so So middle schoolers. So I gave them. I hope. I mean, they're middle schoolers, so I have no idea what they actually heard. But what I heard myself say was two messages. Choose a job you care about. Choose a job you love, because you're gonna be doing it a lot in your life. And if you love artistic, creative things, then go and do it. And the second message I try to send is that YouTube is a pretty interesting place to do your creative thing. And I want to share with them how I got involved with YouTube and where I'm at now with YouTube and what I learned from YouTube, what I wish I'd done differently, and so on, all that kind of stuff. And I have no idea if any of it sunk in at all. But oh well, that's what I did yesterday. That was my day yesterday. And we'll see. We'll see what kind of how I might affect the future somehow. Bruce, you're saying that Michael J. Fox is still playing the guitar despite the Parkinson's. Wow. Very interesting. Okay. I am... Okay, Blair, I see your question. Blair is saying, can we benefit by putting a DI box in our electric guitar setup? Maybe. A DI box. That means something that you obviously plug your guitar directly into, but maybe more importantly, you can run a line directly out of that right into, say, your computer or your interface that connects to your computer. And that could be pretty interesting. So yes, can we benefit by putting a DI box in our electric guitar setup? Sure. For recording, for one thing. Maybe if I'm picturing what you're talking about, possibly, well, on stage, I mean, as a performer, I hear more and more about bands who don't have electric guitar or bass guitar or keyboard amplifiers on stage. They're literally running into some type of DI box, right into the soundboard, the mixing board, and then they're hearing their own sound in their in-ear monitors, or maybe some stage monitors, but there's no amplifier behind them. There's no need, and that's pretty fascinating. I don't, on the one hand, you don't have to carry this big old thing. On the other hand, I don't know, man. What's cooler than a big old amplifier behind you? But I'm learning about all the advantages, including an amazing amount of control over the sound that you're getting. You have some sort of effects board, your pedal collection, and you're dialing in these amazing sounds. And in a perfect world, the audience is hearing those exact sounds exactly the way you hope they will hear them, without the variable of an amplifier and the amplifier maybe being mic'd or something like the olden days, or some output from the amplifier going into the soundboard. Fascinating stuff. So Blair, if we're talking about the same thing, there are definitely benefits. I don't own one myself, a DI box, but then again, I do have an interface that I could plug my electric guitar directly into, and then I could do recording that way, and create amazing sounds that way. Yeah, I don't do that, but I see how plenty of people could do that and have happy, successful recording sessions that way. If there's a DI box Blair, that you have in mind that you're shopping for, that you like, go ahead and put it in the chat, and maybe we can all click on that and sort of see exactly what you're talking about. And should you purchase it from Sweetwater. Why not? Especially if your local mom and pop shop can't get it for you, or don't have it, or whatever. Deborah, thank you for being here. Okay, so you guys, I'm looking at we're just about time to wrap up. I will be time stamping this live stream, like I said, most likely tomorrow. So you can come back and watch it anytime. But I know when you wanna zip right to a certain part, it's hard to do that without the timestamping. I get it. Ooh, sometimes what you see on the screen can help guide you to that place too. But I know timestamping is a million times, makes it a million times easier. And that's important to me. So I will get on that. Oh, I see one more thing that I want to talk about mistakes. About mistakes. And I think that's going to be my last subject I want to talk about. Hey, I see 43 of you out there. Thank you for being here, you 43. If you have not subscribed to my channel yet, please do. I'm closing in on those 200,000 subscribers. It means a lot to me. Head on over to song-bike.com and get yourself a little something. A lot of good learning material over there. And you can also become a member, but you don't have to become a member to get any of the learning material. That's available to you, those e-books with all the PDFs. Although there's a lot of PDFs available there only for members. So, Willie, I see your question. I'll get to that in a minute. Okay, very quickly, a student made a great comment. And now that I've been doing these live streams for the past bunch of months, when a student says something that, gives me pause and makes a great comment or something, I think, ooh, I could talk about that in the live stream. So I had an in-person student on Wednesday night, and he said he was working on something, and he realized there was a certain mistake he was making over and over again. He identified the mistake he was repeating, and so he knew what he had to fix. I thought, oh, that's a great way. That's a great way to put it. We all make mistakes. What we really should care about is the mistakes we repeat, right? And focus in on those and say, okay, clearly that thing needs to be addressed. And I just want to put that out there as a way to prioritize stuff in your practice time. If your pick hits a wrong string, that's really not a whole lot to worry about. It's going to happen. That's not an issue. Unless it's always hitting the wrong string in one certain phrase. That's different, right? Okay, so in a nutshell, to keep it short, prioritize the mistakes that you hear yourself repeating a lot. I know somewhere out there, some of you is saying like, oh, all I do is make mistakes. I know. But you get what I'm saying, right? Listen, make a note of which mistakes keep happening, and those are the ones to prioritize. And I'm sure I'll come back to this, subject. Our other moderator, Music Fan, my spouse, Music Fan says, Bruce has a question up above that I missed. Okay, I'm scrolling. This particular mouse I have, this mouse, speaking of cocaine, this mouse is wired. And if I don't scroll slowly enough, this mouse wants to just hit the highway. Bruce, thanks, Bruce. Bruce's question, do you think rhythm or lead takes more more general skill, more general, Bruce, I missed that last word. Do you think, so I'm going to scroll up to the first time you asked the question. Rhythm or lead, hold on. I'm looking. Oh, this mouth is going to be the death of me. I'm trying to find it. Oh, if I use nope. I don't know why the arrow buttons don't work. Oh. I'm so sorry. I can't find the original question. Oh. Okay, I found it. Does rhythm or lead take more ability or skill in your opinion? Okay. Rhythm. There you go. You know what? That's a great question. And just to be a little bit provocative, I'm going to say, oh yeah, rhythm guitar. Rhythm guitar is everything. Lead guitar playing, nah. The world could do just fine with 0 lead guitar players. 0. Not so with rhythm. And I know. Don't get too freaked out. But yeah, rhythm guitar. And here's why. Rhythm guitar can contain elements of lead guitar. Lead guitar, the way I look at it, is just some dude being awesome, you know, while the rest of the band keeps the glue together, you know, like keeps the song going, you know. So just to be, you know, a little bit provocative on such a great question. Oh yeah, rhythm guitar is a skill, it's an art, it's a science, it's witchcraft, it's harder than it looks. Then again, you get a lot of bang for your buck just banging out some chords. Um, you know, someone has to be playing rhythm guitar for the song to happen. Unless you got a piano player, okay, all right, it's a big if. If you have a piano player, then rhythm guitar potentially is less significant. I'll say this too, while I'm being provocative. A rhythm guitar player can play lead guitar. A lead guitar player cannot necessarily play rhythm guitar. So I look forward to returning to this topic in the future. And again, the way I'm seeing this, though, I'm picturing some stereotypical lead guitar player up at the front of the stage doing all this stuff, you know, for that moment in the spotlight, and the rhythm guitar player is doing everything else. So to be continued. So that's a great question. Hello, Matthew. Matthew, thank you for joining us. Now, the other question, I have a question. How come I can't scroll up in the chat using the arrow buttons? That's not fair. Because this mouse is making me crazy. Okay. Willie Slater asked a great question. Do you have a favorite acoustic song played on 12-string? It's a great question. I do. Life by the Drop by Steve Ray Vaughan. That's just the first one that comes to mind off the top of my head. Of course, Wish You Were Here has that 12-string. I believe Wish You Were Here starts off with a 6-string during the first time through the intro. And the second time through the intro, a 12-string joins in. I just really like Life by the Drop, recorded and performed by Steve Ray Vaughan. And it happens to be on a 12-string. That was my introduction to Steve Ray Vaughan. Full disclosure, I was late to the party. I knew there's some blues guy named Steve Ray Vaughan, and I was so into this acoustic kind of folky songwriter thing. He just wasn't on my radar. And when I heard Life by the Drop, I thought, wait, that's Steve Ray Vaughan? Oh, if he can do that, that's so cool. I definitely want to check out what else he can do. And little did I know, like, he's Steve Ray Vaughan, you know? So that's the first one that comes to mind. Lead Belly, known, you know, as a 12-string guitar player. I love listening to Lead Belly. I know I should be more familiar with Leo Kottke and his entire repertoire, because Leo Kottke did a lot of 12-string playing. And it's on my list of things to do to familiarize myself with Leo Kottke. You guys know Leo Kottke, right? Kottke. Definitely helped the 12-string become a more, you know, he was out there playing a 12-string guitar, and I'm sure for a lot of people that was their first exposure to a 12-string guitar. Who else comes to mind on 12-string? Well, there's a whole electric 12-string thing, the Byrds and the Beatles doing the electric 12-string kind of thing, which is all very cool. Anyways, that's the first thing that comes to mind, though. Life by the Drop by Steve Ray Vaughan, which is just such a cool thing. Okay, you guys, I think I'm good if you're good. Enjoy the eclipse on Monday. For those of you who are in the vicinity, in the path of the eclipse, I'm going to be watching. It's right when I'm going to be teaching. So I guess I know it goes on for, you know, quite a while, but I guess I'm going to step outside with my cool glasses. I have a question for you guys. How come when I put on my glasses, I see nothing whatsoever? I mean, I know they're supposed to protect my eyes, but shouldn't I be able to see a little something through these glasses? I don't know. I'm sure if I user instructions. There you go. Talk about fine print. There's the user instructions. I'll read them and I'll wear them. So I'll have to take a break from my teaching on Monday and stick my head outside and see what's going on. Okay, so before I say goodnight, I want to say goodnight, and I want to encourage you guys to like and subscribe. Ring that bell, everybody. Like and subscribe. Let's get over that hump of 200,000 subscribers. Please do check out my website, song-bike.com. Get yourself a little something or become a member or both. Check out the videos posted in the chat to check out Michael J. Fox playing the guitar. Sweetwater, get yourself a little something from Sweetwater. That affiliate link is up at the top of the chat, and it will be in the description of this. It is in the description of this video. Have a great week. Have a great week. Next time I see you, it'll be the 13th of April, just about tax time. I know, the T word. I'm so sorry, you guys. Hopefully you guys have those taxes straightened out. Again, my accountant is literally across the street right over there, and I see the lights on in the top floor. I know someone is working over there on a Saturday night. I'm so sorry. I know those of you who are in the tax world, good luck. Hang in there. Hang in there. So I think that's going to do it. Thank you for taking part. Thank you for being here. Thank you for asking the great questions. Think of questions during the week and remember them, write them down so you can ask them next week in the chat. And we'll do some, I'm sure some of you will have some follow-up comments about some of the things I said. I will see you next week. And thank you to our moderators again, Music Fan and Beginning Guitar. Little something for them there. Good night to Paul. Good night, Blair. Good night, Willie. Good night, Scott. Good night, Sam. Thunder Ace. Love that name. Good night, Thunder Ace. Matthew, Stephen, Gary. And to those of you who maybe are not in the chat at the moment, but you are watching and listening, thank you. For those of you who are watching this during the week, thanks for watching. Don't forget, we have a playlist. There is a playlist of dozens and dozens of these. They're all time-stamped. And the link to that playlist is in the description of this video, okay? Or you can just, here on my YouTube channel, just click on playlists and scroll down till you find the live stream playlist. I'm looking around. No, that's it. That's it. That's all she wrote. All right, you guys. Thanks again for being here. Take care of yourselves. Play some guitar. Have a great week. I will see you next Saturday. All right, you guys. Good night.